The sun hung low over the bustling high school, casting long shadows as Yukito Kokonoi stood rigidly on the rooftop, his heart pounding. Across from him was Suzuraba Hinagi, the girl he'd adored since childhood, radiant with a gentle smile that once lit up his world. Yukito mustered his courage, voice trembling but resolute. "Hinagi, we've known each other forever. You've always been special to me. I love you." Hinagi's expression softened, then shifted to discomfort. She fidgeted with her uniform. "Yukito, I'm sorry. I'm dating someone else now." The words struck like a punch. Yukito's fists clenched, his face drained of color. Without a word, he turned and bolted, tears blurring his vision as he raced away, leaving Hinagi stunned and calling after him. "It was supposed to be mutual, wasn't it?" he whispered, voice breaking. Memories flooded in. Hinagi's laughter in the playground, shared secrets under the stars. But now everything crumbled. He wished he could vanish into the void. In the classroom for Year 1, Class B, nervous energy buzzed on the first day. Students exchanged introductions. Yukito sat quietly, observing. A girl named Sakura bounced up, her energy infectious. "Hi everyone, I'm Sakura. I love making friends and trying new things. Let's have an awesome year." Applause rippled through the room. Yukito noted her sunny vibe, contemplating his own approach. Next, Shakadu Anna stood abruptly, her eyes distant. "I'm Shakadu Anna. I like bugs. That's it." Awkward silence followed. Yukito labeled her gloomy in his mind, still weighing his options, low-key or unforgettable. He decided on safe, average, harmless, forgettable, no risks. The teacher Fujiro called out, "Next, Kokonoi Yukito." Yukito rose slowly, posture slouched, voice flat and nonchalant. "Thanks for having me, but I'm quitting school, effective immediately." The room fell silent. Mouths dropped open. Eyes widened in shock. Yukito realized he was anything but forgettable now. Everyone saw him as the class weirdo. Well, that was weird, he thought. But hey, at least I'm self-aware. Fujiro stammered. "Kokonoi." "What the hell was that?" Yukito shrugged. "Sorry, school just seems pointless. The world's unreasonable, right?" Fujiro, a stern but kind woman in her 40s, blinked in confusion. She had no choice but to move on, though her gaze lingered disapprovingly. Yukito continued, undeterred. "Anyway, I'm Kokonoi Yukito. My goal? To be the gloomy guy who sits alone. Pretend I'm asleep most days, treat me like I don't exist. Heck, insult me if you want. Call me disgusting, say I've got mental issues. No one will talk to a loser like me anyway." The class remained frozen, too stunned to react. Yukito smirked inwardly, mission accomplished. Isolation guaranteed. Fujiro's voice rose, concerned. "Kokonoi, you can't waste your high school life like this. I'm here to help, let's talk after class." "No thanks," Yukito replied flatly. "I've wasted plenty already. This is just the cherry on top." Fujiro recoiled slightly, creeped out by his eerie realism. She waved him to his seat, muttering under her breath, "Problem child alert." The classroom erupted in laughter as Yukito argued, "I'm just being modest." Fujiro laughed even harder, her shoulders shaking, leaving Yukito utterly confused. His introduction had felt totally normal to him. He turned to his seatmate for validation. "Was that weird?" The boy grinned. "Whatever that was, it's gonna make this school year fun with you around." He handed over his phone. "I'm Tanaka Mihuki. Call me Miu. Let's exchange contacts." Yukito blinked in surprise at the casual treatment. "Tanaka?" Miu chuckled. "Hey, you just called me Mihuki. Pay attention next time." "Sorry," Yukito muttered, not really listening. But a bigger question gnawed at him. Why was this guy even talking to a gloomy loser like him? He voiced it aloud. "Why bother with someone like me?" Miu shrugged. "You're unique, not gloomy. And I just want to be friends." Deep down, Yukito suspected Miu saw him as an errand boy, someone to make his own handsomeness shine brighter. But a self-centered guy was easier to handle than someone unreadable. Miu noticed Yukito's internal glare and smirked. "You look like you're cursing me in your head." Yukito pulled cash from his wallet. "Is a friend's job to give money?" Miu burst out laughing. "What traumatic past made you think that? Dude, you need to touch some grass." He pushed Yukito's hand away. "Put that back. You're in my care now." Weirded out but compliant, Yukito pocketed the money, suddenly docile. Miu smiled. "You free after school?" Just then, Sakurai Kana chimed in. "How about karaoke? We're all classmates now. Let's get to know each other." She turned to Yukito. "Wanna come?" Yukito overthought it furiously. This was the point where classmates bonded. Sakurai was the sunniest of the sunny types, his ultimate rival. He needed a strategy, With a demure bow he declared, "Sakurai, you're a queen. I insist on calling you Elizabeth." Sakurai tilted her head, confused. My name's Kana, not Elizabeth." Yukito pressed on, feigning disbelief. "You're inviting me? Really?" "Miu vouched for you," she explained. "Said you're not weird." Yukito glanced at the group, hesitant faces mixed with excited ones. Then he slammed his palms on the desk. "Sorry, Sakurai. I can't come. Got something to handle." She nodded respectfully. "Okay, but I'd love for you to join next time." As Yukito headed for the door, he thought he wasn't lying. He did have to go home and cook dinner for his mom. Hanging with those girls was a disaster in the making. Hinagi was in a relationship. He wouldn't stir trouble. And Kamishiro Shiori? The most innocent girl he'd ever seen, always uncomfortable around him. He was sure they were bothered by his presence. That's why he'd vowed to avoid them after seeing their names on the list. But fate put them in the same class anyway. Meanwhile, the rest of the class hit the karaoke bar, having a blast. Talk turned to Yukito. "What's his deal?" One guy asked. "Bad news," another said. "Quitting school on day one? Sketchy." Miu jumped in. "Nah, he's just interesting." A girl asked about their connection. Miu explained they'd played basketball in middle school, opposite teams. Doubt he remembers. Kamishiro Shiori, overhearing, asked curiously, "Did you ever face off against him?" "Yeah," Miu confirmed, surprised. "Why?" Shiori averted her gaze. "I can't talk about it." Another girl leaned in. "You two good friends?" Shiori shook her head. The opposite. Kamishiro Shiori was certain Yukito hated her. Back in the summer of their second year in middle school, she developed a major crush on him. The club was lax, so kids made their own fun. Shiori joined in, but Yukito caught her eye. He was like a man possessed, shooting hoops with fierce determination, as if proving or forgetting something buried deep. His passion ignited the whole club. Suddenly they were fired up, aiming for tournament glory. Shiori saw him as the greatest guy ever, changing people just by being himself. But he neglected his own well-being, so she stepped in to care for him. Before long, she realized she was falling hard. Immature and scared, she confessed anyway, only to betray him in the most hideous way imaginable. God, she needed therapy. Looking back, Shiori was convinced she'd caused his weirdness, his withdrawal from the world. Suddenly, in the karaoke bar, Shiori locked eyes with Hinagi, who bristled defensively. Hinagi shot up from her seat, fuming. "You're hearing things. Repeat that if you dare." Shiori wasn't backing down. "What's with the hostility? Spill. What's your deal with Yukito?" Two girls in the group sensed the brewing storm, the place turning into a tense arena. It didn't add up. Kamishiro and Hinagi were supposed to be friends from the same middle school. Hinagi clarified, "I'm her childhood friend, but yeah, I caused Yukito to change." Regret laced her voice, but then rage flared. "Now tell me, what the hell did you do to him?" As the argument escalated, Sakurai Kana jumped in, pulling them apart before claws came out. "Hey, we're here to have fun. Cut it out and get along." The others forced awkward smiles, trapped in the awkwardness. Hinagi grabbed her bag and stormed to the door. "I'm out of here." Kamishiro muttered an apology for ruining the vibe and excused herself to head home. With the two gone, the group exhaled. To lighten the mood, they urged Kazunari to belt out a song, and he dove right in. Miu, though, sat baffled, piecing together Yukito's tangled backstory. That night, Yukito faced the hot seat at home. His sister Yuri was livid about his classroom stunt, grilling him through dinner. He couldn't even eat his dry meal in peace. "Someone must have ratted me out," Yukito grumbled, taking a bite. Yuri glared. "Did you embarrass yourself on purpose to dodge Hinagi and Kamishiro?" Yukito sighed. No comment. Her death stare cracked him. He admitted the truth. She knew about Hinagi, his childhood crush, but apparently Kamishiro too. Yukito bolted from his seat. "Gotta study." He retreated to his room, flopping onto the bed, feeling guilty for snapping at her. Did she actually care? Impossible. Yuri hated his guts. Downstairs, Yuri slammed her fist on the table. Why does Yukito always suffer? She wanted him to have a bright high school life, but nothing changed. Suzuraba Hinagi and Kamishiro Shiori were worthless rats in her eyes. She'd never forgive them. From the look on his face, Yuri knew Yukito still hated her. Yuri knew Yukito would never speak to her unless absolutely necessary, and she couldn't blame him. It wasn't a normal sibling bond, but she'd caused it herself. Ever since that fateful day, he hadn't called her sister once. She wrapped her arms around herself for comfort, accepting his eternal hatred. Still, she'd protect him from Kamishiro and Hinagi, no matter what. The next day at school, Kamishiro and Hinagi cornered Yukito, vying for his attention. Kamishiro leaned in first. "Yukito, you joining the basketball club? I heard you're planning to be manager." Hinagi cut in. "Yukito, wanna grab lunch in the cafeteria with me?" Yukito's confusion spiked. Why me, God? Why these trials? He'd always been cursed with women, his neglectful mother, his hateful sister, childhood friends who ditched him for boyfriends right before his confession, bullies during his heartbreak. It all boiled down to his rotten luck in relationships. Maybe he was a reincarnator, killed for defying evil in another world, reborn here with bad karma. That explained why he couldn't bond deeply or show empathy. Overwhelmed? He gave up trying to figure it out. But now the world flipped. Why were Hinagi and Kamishiro fighting over him? Kamishiro snapped at Hinagi. "Let me talk to him first." Hinagi stood firm. "We can chat after lunch." As they bickered, Yukito panicked. He just wanted to be left alone, wished they'd take their drama elsewhere. Miyu strolled over. "Hey Yukito, which club you joining?" The girls fell silent. Yukito shot Miyu a frustrated glare. "Thanks for making it worse." Kamishiro stepped closer. "Join the basketball team. I'll be manager this time, fully committed." Basketball dredged up bitter memories. He'd poured his soul in, only to crash and burn, gaining nothing. "I don't play anymore," he said bluntly. She wouldn't relent. "Come on, you tried so hard back then?" Yukito's voice iced over. "You know what happened after all that effort?" Tears welled in Kamishiro's eyes. She stammered a response, but Yukito cut her off coldly. "How long are you gonna pity me?" Panicking, she faltered. Yukito ended it. "Forget it. I'm a gloomy guy. My only club is going home." Miyu urged him to reconsider, but Yukito's mind was set. He headed for the door. Off to the cafeteria. Kamishiro called after him, but he didn't stop, wishing her luck as manager. She noticed the chill in his voice. He didn't even say her name like before. Outside, Yukito spotted the baseball club practicing. He'd once trained obsessively, but now touching a ball stirred nothing. His fire was gone. He'd never play like that again. No point dwelling, he pushed on. Back in class, Hinagi approached. "Yukito, wanna eat with me? I'll wait if I have to." Dumbfounded, he burst her bubble. "Stop talking to me," she stuttered. "We're classmates, childhood friends." "That's in the past," he replied coldly. "Why say that?" she pressed. He dropped the bomb. "I'd feel bad for your boyfriend." The words struck like lightning, drawing stares. Her middle school ex was infamous, and airing that dirty laundry humiliated her. Tears threatened. "Just forget the past." Yukito shrugged. "I'm being mindful. Wouldn't want my girlfriend chummy with another guy." Yukito crossed his arms, his voice cold. "We're childhood friends, so tension's expected. But I had to distance myself when you got a boyfriend. Don't you get it? We can't be together forever just because of that." Hinagi tried to explain, but Yukito cut her off. "I'm leaving. Go have lunch with someone else." As he walked away, memories flooded back. He'd let her go for her own good. Did he still feel the same? The classroom erupted in murmurs once he was gone. Some guys groaned, lamenting lost chances with Hinagi, while others shrugged. Someone that stunning's bound to be taken. One student leaned in curiously. "Who's the lucky guy?" Before the gossip could spill, Hinagi snapped, her voice sharp as a blade. "Shut up, all of you." Silence fell. She trembled, her face crumbling as tears welled up. "It's all my fault," she choked out, breaking down. Later that day, the teacher announced an outdoor lesson, a hiking trip to build friendships. Form groups of 4. The room buzzed with excitement. Yukito sighed, exhausted, already seeing the outcome. As predicted, everyone paired off, leaving him like an unwanted sock. The teacher scanned for volunteers, practically begging. Yukito leaned back, satisfied. His lone wolf vibe was working. But then Miyu appeared, flashing a killer smile. "I want to team up with you, Yukito." Dazed by the charm, Yukito snapped out of it and tried to push him away. "Someone bright like you should stick with sunny people." Miyu argued back, and they bickered. Unbeknownst to them, Hinagi and Kamishiro loomed behind, minds made up. They were forcing their way in, no matter what. The next day at the hiking spot, Yukito strayed from the group as they disembarked the bus. Miyu looked confused. Yukito called out to the mountains, "Tardis." Everyone stared, weirded out. Miyu chuckled. "Can't top your humor, buddy." Hinagi and Kamishiro appeared, forcing Yukito to keep his distance. As the hike started, Yukito avoided the girls entirely. Miyu tried chatting, but got one-word replies. Yukito glanced at them, wondering why they'd chosen him over their friends. He'd ruin their high school lives. Suddenly, Hinagi sprained her ankle, halting the group. Yukito approached. "Take them off." Shocked gasps. Hinagi blushed furiously, clutching her jacket. "Not in public. We should do that when we're alone." Yukito blinked. "What? I just want to check your foot." She showed it, swollen. Yukito apologized for the pace. Hinagi insisted it wasn't his fault, then fretted about slowing them down. Kamishiro reassured her. Hinagi flinched. "My feet don't smell." Yukito shrugged. "I'd be offended if they did." Paranoid, she panicked. Yukito suggested pinching his nose, making it worse. Fed up, he insisted on smelling to prove it. Hinagi squirmed as he leaned in, determined. Screams echoed. Yukito braced for the foot fetish accusations. Soon after, he bandaged her foot. She tested standing. "Too tight?" Yukito asked. When Hinagi gave a thumbs up, confirming the bandage was just right, Yukito handed her a bottle of water with a nod. "We'll take it slow from here. No rushing. You've got this." But before they could even shift gears, their teacher latched onto Yukito's arm like a lifeline, her eyes wide with desperation. "Yukito, can you bandage my feet too? They're killing me." Yukito glanced at her pale, sweat-drenched face and couldn't help but blurt out, "You look like a brain-dead zombie. Did you even sleep last night?" The teacher shot him a glare, but exhaustion won out. Yukito sighed, sensing her fatigue. "You get tired this easily? You'll be in real trouble at one of your kids' sports festivals someday." She bristled, offended. "I'm not even married yet. What kids?" Yukito shrugged and called out to Kamishiro. "Hey, come help the teacher. Remember your big plans to be the basketball team's manager? This is perfect practice." Kamishiro sprang into action, following Yukito's step-by-step instructions like a pro. Once the task was complete, she beamed up at him, practically vibrating with pride. "Did I do good? Praise me." Yukito recoiled, weirded out. She looked like a puppy begging for a walk, tail wagging, eyes pleading. On a whim, he tossed a piece of candy into the bushes. "Fetch!" To his shock, Kamishiro bolted after it, returning triumphantly with the candy clenched in her teeth. "Good boy, or girl. Now, pat on the head?" Yukito blinked. "You're not a dog, Kamishiro. You're a human." She pouted, crossing her arms. "But you told me to follow your commands, and I did. That's what obedience means." Fed up with the absurdity, Yukito threw his hands up. "Fine, if you're gonna act like a dog, I'll act like a breeder. Deal?" "A what now?" Kamishiro echoed, but before she could process it, Yukito gave her a quick pat on the head. Her face lit up with delight, until he started rubbing her belly like she was a fluffy retriever. She squirmed, bursting into uncontrollable giggles, her cheeks flushing crimson. Finally, Yukito stepped back as Kamishiro collapsed onto the ground, breathless and motionless. "You remember you're human now, right?" She propped herself up slowly, still catching her breath. "Yeah, but don't do this to anyone else. You'll get in trouble for forcing intimacy like that." Yukito frowned, confused. "Wait, I already did it to you? Isn't that a violation?" Kamishiro shrugged, a sly smile creeping in. "It's bad either way, but hey, this is hilarious." She burst into laughter, the sound echoing through the trees. "Feels like last year, doesn't it, when we were closer?" She reached out, gently touching his arm. "Does it feel okay now, us talking like this?" Yukito nodded, his voice softening. "Yeah, it does. Don't worry about it." But Kamishiro's face clouded with guilt. "I can't shake it, Yukito. I still feel bad. I couldn't do what you asked back then." Seeing her expression, Yukito's own guilt flared up. He realized she'd forgive him for anything, just to make up for her perceived faults. It twisted in his chest. Just then, Miyu's voice cut through the moment. "Hey, lovebirds. Group. Time to move out." As Yukito walked away, his mind churned. Things with Kamishiro felt stuck in amber, like they couldn't move forward or back. Eventually, the group reached their destination deep in the woods, a breathtaking overlook with panoramic views of rolling hills and distant peaks. The girls gasped in awe, their eyes sparkling. Yukito stared out, wondering if he was truly impressed or just going through the motions. Miyu, meanwhile, was laser-focused on one thing: food. "Finally, I'm starving." Lunchtime arrived, and Yukito unfurled his waterproof sheet like a pro. The group cheered, dubbing him the resident Doraemon for his preparedness. After devouring their meals, Yukito checked on Hinagi. "How's the foot holding up?" She flexed it gingerly, smiling. "Surprisingly good. I didn't expect to feel better so soon. These bandages are magic." Yukito pulled out some candies and extra bandages from his pack, offering them over. "Here, in case you need more." Hinagi's eyes widened. Why are you so prepared for injuries? It's like you're expecting a disaster. She paused, then added softly, "Oh, right, middle school, that makes sense." Yukito froze, shocked. "You know about that?" Hinagi nodded, a hint of mischief in her eyes. "I've been watching you, okay, creep?" Yukito's brow furrowed. She tilted her head. "Why did you help me today? We're just classmates, right?" He shrugged, deflecting. "Yeah, exactly. Classmates." Hinagi's face fell at Yukito's curt reply, but she masked it with a forced smile, her eyes betraying a flicker of hurt. Suddenly, Yukito's gaze snagged on the bare keychain dangling from her phone, a tiny, worn plush toy that stirred old memories. "You still have that?" he asked, surprise lacing his voice. Hinagi's eyes lit up, sparkling with a mix of nostalgia and shock. "You remember? It was from the festival, right?" Yukito nodded, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Yeah, that one." She clutched the little bear to her chest, her voice softening. "I had so much fun back then." The moment hung heavy, but Yukito shifted gears abruptly. "What about your boyfriend? Did you two have a fight?" Hinagi opened her mouth to respond, but the words caught in her throat. She faltered, then pivoted. "What would you do if you hurt someone's feelings? How do you make it right?" Yukito shrugged, his tone matter of fact. "I'd apologize. Simple as that." Hinagi shook her head vehemently. "No, it's not that easy. They'd never forgive me." "Then start over," Yukito suggested, his brow furrowing. "If you can still fix it, try building something new with him." A spark of realization dawned on Hinagi's face. She thanked him quietly and stood, turning to face him with her head bowed low. "Yukito, I'm sorry. For all the mean things I said to you back then. I was afraid we couldn't go back to how we were, terrified we'd never be together again." Her voice trembled as she bowed deeper. "Asking for forgiveness is the easy part. I can't just tell you to forget everything." Yukito shifted uncomfortably, trying to deflect. "Hinagi, it's..." But she pressed on, her words tumbling out like a confession. "I was unreasonable, arrogant, selfish. It doesn't change that I'm sorry." Her voice carried across the clearing, drawing curious stares from the group. Yukito blinked, then said softly, "I don't even remember you saying anything mean." Inagi's head snapped up, confusion etching her features. Yukito elaborated, his voice steady. "I should be the one apologizing for exposing your boyfriend like that. I'm grateful you want to make amends. I just needed to vent, get the pain out." Hinagi's eyes widened in panic. "Why are you apologizing? I was the one in the wrong." But Yukito remained calm, his expression unreadable. "Everything you said back then was true, even if it stung. I've come to terms with my place in your life." With a gentle smile, he reassured her, "The distance between us isn't because my feelings weren't returned. We just chose different paths. You have a kind heart. That's why it hurts to see you crying." Hinagi stared, her mind reeling at this newfound wisdom. Yukito continued, "You're important to me, Hinagi. That's why I can only wish for your happiness from afar. I've lost my worth as a childhood friend. We're just classmates now." As the class boarded the bus for home, Hinagi paused at the step, her hand rummaging frantically through her bag. Her expression tightened with dread. She'd lost something vital. Kamishiro noticed and nudged her. "What's wrong?" Hinagi didn't answer, her eyes locked on the empty string attached to her phone. The bare keychain was gone. Panic surged as she spun to dash back, but Yukito grabbed her wrist, his grip firm. "The bus is leaving. You can't go now." She yanked against him, voice rising. "But it's important. You gave it to me." Yukito's face hardened. "Your boyfriend can buy you 100 more. It's not worth it." That was the breaking point. Inagi's frustration erupted like a storm. "I've had enough of this," she yelled, her voice echoing. Yukito recoiled, stunned by the raw emotion. The keychain clearly meant more than he'd realized. Despite the tension, he couldn't just abandon her. Reluctantly, he let her board, her hand trembling as she clutched the frayed string. On the bus, Hinagi stared out the window, mind racing. Was this some cruel punishment for trying to mend things with Yukito? The keychain wasn't just a trinket, it was a tangible link to their shared past, the last gift he'd ever given her. She could ask for another, but it wouldn't hold the same magic. Torn, she considered jumping off to search, but her injured ankle pinned her in place. All she could do was tremble as the bus rumbled away, leaving the forest and the keychain behind. Back at school the next day, the teacher scanned the room, frowning. "Where's Yukito? Anyone seen him?" A classmate shrugged. "He said he felt unwell and went home. Didn't tell anyone first, though." The teacher turned to Miu, skeptical. "Is that true?" Miu just shrugged. "Dunno." As the class buzzed with concern, Hinagi's worry deepened, her stomach nodding. Unbeknownst to them, Yukito had doubled back to the forest, muttering to himself, "Back for round 2. He sighed, knowing he couldn't ignore Hinagi's devastated face. He'd promised himself just one more search, and then he'd quit. The woods swallowed him as he scoured the trail, determined not to leave empty-handed. At home, Hinagi lay on her bed, staring blankly at her phone, her heart heavy. "There's no way to fix what we had," she murmured. Their families used to hit festivals together, but over time, it dwindled to just the two of them. She recalled one hazy night when Yukito had reached for her hand, only for her to pull away, mortified by her sweaty palm. She'd wiped it discreetly, praying he hadn't noticed. He never tried again. The memory stung, a quiet echo of what could have been. Hinagi's mind spiraled into a whirlwind of what-ifs. There went her chances. Slipped away like sand through her fingers. If only she'd let him hold her hand that night. Would things have changed? Could they have kept spending time together, hands intertwined without a second thought? Maybe even shared a kiss, walked home side by side and blossomed into something deeper. But now it was all just bitter speculation. She couldn't bring herself to ask him why. After all, she was the one who'd shattered their bond, destroyed it with her own hands. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Yukito finally spotted the bear keychain, half buried under a tangle of leaves. The sun had dipped low, casting long shadows, and he'd nearly abandoned hope. Sweaty, dirt-streaked, and panting, he gave himself a mental pat on the back for the find. Clutching the little plush toy, he wondered how long Hinagi would treasure it. He tossed out everything she'd ever given him, gifts, memories, the whole lot. Shaking off the pang, he turned to head home. But fate had other plans. His foot slipped on loose gravel, and he tumbled down the steep hill, the world blurring into a chaotic spin. As he plummeted, Yukito braced for the end. In his mind, he whispered goodbyes. To his mom, his sister Yuri, Hinagi, Kamishiro, even Miu. What a dramatic exit. He'd only truly known a handful of people, but somehow, that felt complete. Embracing the fall, he let out a primal scream, the sound echoing through the trees. Flashback to that festival night, when Hinagi had yanked Yukito along, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Come on, let's get some plum candy." He knew apple was her favorite, but she insisted. "I don't want to open my mouth too wide." They settled on plum, munching away like carefree kids, the world a swirl of lights and laughter. Then, Hinagi dragged him to a shooting game, pleading, "Win me that bear keychain." Yukito eyed the ugly plush thing skeptically, but her radiant smile won him over. He pumped quarters in, determined to make her happy. By middle school, Hinagi had turned into a walking headache, frustrating as ever. Yet Yukito clung to hope. They'd hit the festival again next summer, their bond unbreakable. Watching her clutch that bear, beaming, he was sure of it. Just as Hinagi leaned in to say something important, maybe about next year's plans, a deafening burst of fireworks exploded overhead, drowning her words. A pack of rowdy boys barreled into her mid-sentence, knocking her off balance. Yukito lunged, grabbing her hand to steady her, but to his shock, she swatted it away like it burned, hastily wiping her sweaty palms on her skirt. The rejection hit like a punch. In that instant, Yukito knew things would never be the same. It wasn't just a reflex, it was a clear, stinging dismissal. The next morning, Yukito jolted awake in bed, his body a map of aches from the relentless cold. Somehow, he'd staggered home through the pouring rain and collapsed. Glancing at the clock, he realized he'd slept over half a day. A hazy, nostalgic dream lingered, be or sad he couldn't tell, but it left a hollow ache of loss. His eyes drifted to the bear keychain perched beside the clock. He had to return it to Hinagi. At school, Yuri, his sharp-tongued sister, cornered Miu, pulling him aside for a private chat. Miu blinked in surprise but followed without question. Hinagi watched them slip out, her heart twisting. Was Yuri finally confessing to Miu? It seemed unlikely. Yuri's every move revolved around Yukito. Curiosity and a nagging worry for him pushed Hinagi to eavesdrop from the hallway. Miu frowned. "What's up?" Yuri cut straight to it. "I have a question about yesterday. Why did Yukito come home soaked to the bone?" Hinagi froze, piecing it together. He'd left early, but that meant he'd gone back for the bear. Before she could process, she bolted after Yuri, calling out, "Is Yukito okay?" Yuri didn't slow, her voice flat. "Just a mild cold, fever's down already." Hinagi exhaled in relief, but Yuri spun on her heel, her glare icy. "Don't push your luck. she demanded. What really happened out there? Hinagi's body tensed, the dam breaking. Trembling, she confessed, It's all my fault. I said something I shouldn't have. Yuri smirked, her tone dripping with disdain. Tricked my brother again, did you? Don't do it again. Hinagi panicked, worried Yuri had it wrong, but she had to apologize first. Yuri, please. But Yuri waved her off, striding away. I don't have time for this. Hinagi pleaded, chasing after, but Yuri shot her a death stare. Don't follow me. Left alone, Hinagi crumpled, sobbing as Yuri vanished down the hall. Meanwhile, Yukito was on the mend, flexing his limbs experimentally. The fever had broken, but boredom gnawed at him, and so did hunger. Time to raid the fridge. Yukito stirred in bed, his body still heavy from the fever, but before he could muster the energy to haul himself up and scrounge for food, muffled voices drifted from the doorway. Footsteps pounded closer, and Yuri burst in like a storm cloud, her eyes narrowing as she scanned him. Feeling better? She demanded, her tone a mix of concern and command. Yeah, mostly, Yukito muttered, sitting up. Who's at the door? Sounds like a crowd. Yuri's face twitched, just a fraction. Newspaper guy? Nothing to worry about. Yukito's suspicion flared instantly. Bull. You're lying. He crossed his arms, ready for the showdown. Yuri's glare could freeze lava. Say that again, and you'll regret it. He backpedaled faster than a cornered cat, waving an imaginary white flag. Forget it. Surrender. Talking back to you is against the family code. He knew better. Crossing Yuri was a one-way ticket to misery. Without a word, she thrust a plastic bag into his hands, filled with peach-flavored goodies. Candies, drinks, the works. Yukito blinked in surprise. Peach? My favorite. Thanks. She shrugged, eyeing him critically. You look way better than this morning. Need anything else? Nah, I'm good, he replied, but Yuri wasn't having it. I'll wipe you down and whip up some porridge. Rest up. Yukito chuckled, a smug grin spreading. You? Cook? Do you even know how? That was a fatal error. Yuri's eyes flashed with offense. Repeat that, and you're done for. He dropped to the floor in mock despair, palms up. Mercy, I take it back. No way was he risking food poisoning from her kitchen disasters. Fine, I'll make the porridge myself. Ironically, Yuri, perfectly healthy, casually added, Make a bowl for me too then. Yukito sighed, grabbing his phone from the nightstand. He hadn't checked it in ages. The screen lit up with a barrage of messages from Hinagi, each one a stab of anxiety. His stomach twisted. Big mistake. He shoved the phone away, regretting the peak. A short while later, Yukito shrugged on his jacket and slipped out for a quick run to the convenience store. The crisp air hit him like a reset button. But as he rounded the corner, Hinagi appeared out of nowhere, charging at him with desperate speed. She pulled him into a fierce hug, her arms locking tight. Panicked, Yukito squirmed, trying to pry her off. Hinagi, stop. I reek of sweat. But she held on, stronger than he expected, and tears glistening in her eyes. I was so worried. I thought something awful happened to you. Caught off guard, Yukito hesitated. Did you come by the house earlier? She nodded, and the pieces clicked. Yuri hadn't been arguing with the newspaper guy. It was Hinagi. Sorry about my sister, he muttered, guilt creeping in. Hinagi laughed it off, wiping her eyes. She'd kill me if she heard you apologizing for her. I'm fine. Yukito was floored by her calm. He'd braced for fury, but she seemed unfazed. Wordlessly, he pulled the ugly bear keychain from his pocket and handed it over. She took it without hesitation, her smile soft. She already knew he'd gone back for it, but Yukito played it cool. No clubs, so I had the time. No big deal. Thanks, she whispered, clutching it like a lifeline. For saving this symbol of our bond. They fell into step, walking side by side. Hinagi apologized again for the trouble she'd caused, but Yukito brushed it off, asking about her foot instead. It's fine, she assured him, then sighed nostalgically. This feels so familiar. Remember staying out late and getting yelled at? Out of the blue, Hinagi declared, I don't want to go home yet. Before he could respond, Yukito blurted, still hung up on that smelly feet rumor? Hinagi gawked, her face flushing crimson. How long are you going to believe that crap? Yukito tilted his head, genuinely puzzled. Worried about something else? No, it's not like that, she snapped, flustered. He smirked, the old spark returning. There she is, the Hinagi I know. For a second I thought you'd turned into a saint. Hinagi faltered, her voice dropping. Have I really changed? She hugged herself, the weight of regret crashing down. That day haunted her most. To change the subject, she asked, Why'd you go back for the bear? You've been avoiding me forever. Yukito smiled faintly. I help when you're in trouble, that's it. Is it just because we're childhood friends? She pressed. No, he said firmly. If you need help, ask for it yourself. I can't be by your side anymore. The words tasted bitter, a reminder he needed as much as her. But Hinagi grabbed his arm, pleading desperately. Stay with me forever, Yukito, please. His face darkened, and he turned away. That's not my duty anymore. Then, like a thunderclap, Hinagi dropped the bombshell. I broke up with my boyfriend. Yukito's eyes widened. What? You two lasted, 2 weeks? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Tears streamed down her face as she begged. Can't we go back to the old times? As childhood friends? No, Yukito replied instantly, the words slicing through the air. Hinagi wouldn't relent. Is it too late? Do you like Kamishiro now? He shook his head sharply. No to both. I just don't feel the same about you anymore. Her breath caught, the pain raw despite her preparation. But she held her ground. I've always liked you, Yukito. Even as kids, I was thrilled when you confessed. I wanted to say yes right away, but I had my reasons. Yukito's expression hardened. He gently pushed her away, his voice cold. I didn't know you were such a liar. The accusation hung like poison, cutting deeper than any blade. He wasn't buying a single word. Yukito's gaze pierced through her, his voice laced with skepticism. So? You dumped your boyfriend just because you liked me? Or is it that you date anyone, even if you didn't care for them? Hinagi's fingers dug into the bare keychain, her knuckles whitening as she clutched it like a lifeline. Her voice trembled, but she held firm. I'm telling the truth, Yukito. Back then, I panicked. You were so popular, mature, capable, destined for great things. And you were too kind, always putting others first. Then those rumors about you and Kamishiro started swirling, and suddenly, girls were flocking to you like bees to honey. Meanwhile, I felt trapped in my own mess, paralyzed by everything spiraling out of control. She paused, her mind flashing back to that innocent childhood promise, their solemn vow to always stand by each other, to be there in times of need. Had he forgotten? But no, he'd gone back for the bear, hadn't he? Proof that some thread still bound them. Hinagi opened her mouth to spill more, to unravel the tangled web of her fears, but Yukito was already turning away, his steps resolute. She stood frozen, the world blurring as tears stung her eyes, a storm of guilt and regret crashing over her. She'd been too cowardly to bare her soul, terrified that if Yukito glimpsed the ugly, jealous mess inside her, he'd despise her even more. She felt like the worst version of herself, a love poisoned by envy and fear. But even in the depths of despair, a spark of determination ignited. If she wanted to move forward, she had to start here. Mend what she'd broken. She'd make him stop hating her, apologize for every wrong, even if it meant clawing her way from the pit of his resentment. She would prove the depth of Suzurikawa Hinagi's true feelings. No more hiding. Meanwhile, Yuri thrust a crisp 1,000 yen bill into Yukito's hand, her expression unreadable. He blinked, assuming it was to cover his lingering medical costs, despite the haul of gifts she'd already showered him with the day before. This for the doctor bills? He ventured, a twinge of unease creeping in. Yuri's eyes narrowed to slits, her temper igniting like a fuse. Are you mocking me? Take it and shut up. Horrified, Yukito snatched the money without another word, deciding discretion was the better part of valor. But the ordeal wasn't over. Yuri extended her hand, palm up with a mischievous glint. Since you're all recovered, let's walk hand in hand. Brother-sister bonding time. Yukito's brain short-circuited. Hand-holding? In high school, that was social suicide, a one-way ticket to eternal teasing. If he caved once, she'd never let it go. No way, he protested, yanking his hand back, or so he thought. By the time they strutted through the school gates, Yuri had latched onto his arm like a determined barnacle, her grip unyielding. Yukito sighed in defeat, hyper-aware of the stares boring into them, whispers erupting like wildfire. Are they a couple? Floated through the air. This woman had serious issues. Slumping into his seat in class, Yukito mentally cursed the universe for this fresh hell. But his misery hit pause when Miu sauntered over, grinning like he'd won the lottery. Whoa, dramatic entrance with Yuri, you two finally tying the knot? That was it. Yukito snapped, his voice a hissed whisper. It's Yuri's fault. My lunatic sister dragged me in like this. Now everyone's staring. Overwhelmed, he bolted upright. Heading to the canteen, need to buy stuff. Miu chuckled. Rumors'll follow you there, dude. Yukito waved him off. Whatever. I just want a snack. Elsewhere, Yuri sat lost in thought, her friend nudging her. What's eating you? A wave of unease washed over Yuri. Am I a sugar sister? Like, am I just funding Yukito's laziness without realizing it? Her friend sighed, patting her shoulder. Your imagination's running wild again. Relax. In another corner of the school, a girl named Kyuko was summoned by a classmate. Someone was looking for her. As she rose, her peers teased her about her sudden popularity. To her shock, the boy waiting for her blurted out, "Go out with me." Caught off guard, Kyuko shook her head swiftly. "No thanks." Undeterred, he pressed. "Why not? We could start dating and figure it out as we go." He leaned in. "Got feelings for someone else?" Blushing, she stammered. "No." Her eyes flicked to the stairs, where Yukito lounged, munching on sweet buns and muttering to himself like a brooding philosopher. The boy noticed and frowned. "Need something from him?" Yukito shrugged, mouth full. "Nah, just here for the food. I'm a gloomy loner, ignore me and carry on." But the boy couldn't shake the distraction, eventually giving up and stalking off, leaving Kyuko standing there, flustered and alone. Yukito, oblivious, continued his solitary feast, the world swirling around him in its usual chaos. Yukito exhaled a long, relieved breath, savoring the sweet victory as the persistent boy finally slunk away. His quiet corner was safe again, or so he thought. But before he could fully bask in the peace, Kyuko plopped down beside him on the stairs, her face lighting up with exaggerated relief. Thank goodness that's over. What a mess. Panic flickered across Yukito's face. He dodged one bullet only to get ambushed by another. Without missing a beat, Kyuko launched into chatter. "So why are you even here? Did you come to confess to me too?" Unfazed, Yukito shot back, his tone deadpan. "Senpai, you're delusional. Tone it down." Kyuko blinked but kept her cool, shrugging. "I didn't even know that guy. That's why I couldn't give him a real answer." Yukito raised an eyebrow, caught off guard. "Didn't ask, by the way." "Wow, thanks for the unsolicited backstory." Amused, Kyuko tilted her head. "Are you sure you're my junior? You're pretty rude for someone so young." Yukito shrugged, his eyes glued to his sweet buns. "These pastries are way more interesting than whatever you're rambling about." Kyuko's eyes widened in mock horror, tears welling up dramatically. "Did I just lose to a couple of buns?" Yukito stared, bewildered. Why was this stranger spilling her guts to him like they were old pals? Undeterred, Kyuko pressed on. "Come on, at least listen. You're just a gloomy loner with no friends anyway." Without hesitation, Yukito blurted out loudly, "You're an attention seeker." Kyuko froze, flustered. "Are you mad?" Out of nowhere, tears pricked Yukito's eyes as emotion welled up unexpectedly. "For an attention grabber, you're actually kinda nice. I've always seen myself as this gloomy loner, and no one's ever called it out like that. It makes me happy, weirdly." Kyuko blinked, baffled by the sudden praise. "Why are you flattering me now?" Any warmth evaporated when Yukito added casually, "But you're still an attention grabber." Annoyed, Kyuko snapped. "Stop calling me that. This is already the most embarrassing moment of my life." Yukito shrugged, unfazed. "What do you want me to call you instead?" He paused, then muttered, "Actually, I don't care." That sent Kyuko into a full-blown fury. But just as quickly her mood flipped, she straightened up, formally introducing herself. "I'm Sumika, a second-year student." Yukito barely glanced up, his focus still on the buns. Completely ignoring her, he munched away. Frustrated, Sumika practically pleaded, "Show some interest in something besides food. Introduce yourself too." Yukito mumbled his name through a mouthful of pastry. Curious, Sumika asked, "Will you keep coming here?" He shrugged. "Once or twice a week, sometimes I eat in class." A small smile tugged at her lips. "Then I might start visiting more often too." Cringe. Yukito sighed. That'd be troublesome. He tried to backpedal, but it was too late. Sumika was already filing it away. Standing up, she stretched with a satisfied grin. "I feel better after talking to you." As she turned to leave, Yukito, ever the opportunist, piped up. "Consultation fee?" Without missing a beat, Sumika promised, "I'll bring you some cream buns next time." Yukito's eyes sparkled like stars. "You're a goddess. From now on, that's your name." Done with his nonsense, Sumika screamed, "Knock it off," and stomped away, leaving Yukito in blissful silence. He sighed deeply, mourning the loss of his peaceful hideout. When would his quiet school life ever become a reality? That afternoon, the sky turned traitor. Rain poured in relentless sheets, trapping Yukito in a random alley. The weather app had lied, and of course he'd forgotten his umbrella. He squinted at the clouds, hoping for a break, but mercy was nowhere in sight. With a resigned grunt, he hoisted his school bag over his head and bolted into the downpour. That's when he spotted her, a woman stepping out of a cab, juggling multiple boxes, her clothes already soaked. She struggled visibly, the rain turning everything into a slippery nightmare. Without thinking, Yukito dashed over. "Need help?" She hesitated, trying to refuse. "Oh no, I can manage." "I'm local," he insisted, flashing a reassuring smile. "Really, it's no trouble." Finally, with a grateful nod, she accepted. "Thank you. I'm Himyama Hisaki." Yukito grabbed the heaviest boxes, leading her toward her building. Soon, he found himself inside her sparsely furnished apartment. "She'd just moved in," she explained. He perched on the sofa, still damp and suddenly hyper-aware of the situation. A guy alone with a woman in her home. Before his mind could wander into awkward territory, Hisaki returned with tea, settling in way too close on the couch. "Welcome to my place, Junior," she said with a wink that made Yukito's stomach flip. Trying to diffuse the tension, Yukito asked, "Do you live alone here?" His voice came out a bit too high-pitched. What had he gotten himself into? Himyama's expression softened, and she began pouring out her story like a dam bursting. "I had a fiancé once," she confessed, her voice tinged with quiet sorrow. "But after my infertility treatments failed, his family turned on me. They wanted an heir for their family and I just wasn't enough." She sighed, staring into her tea. "Now I'm alone, and I wonder if things would have been different if I could have a child." Yukito blinked, stunned. Did he have free therapy sessions tattooed on his forehead? First Kyuka, now this stranger spilling her guts. What was his weird aura attracting all these emotionally wrecked people? He shifted uncomfortably as Himyama kept venting, lamenting her solitude and how her dreams of becoming a teacher had crumbled too. "I failed at that as well," she added, her eyes distant. Trying to steer the conversation away from the abyss of despair, Yukito chimed in awkwardly. "You'd make a great homeroom teacher though. Seriously." That was all it took. Himyama's eyes welled up, and she grabbed his hand, clutching it like a lifeline. Tears glistened as she stared at him desperately. "Would you really be happy if I were your teacher? Please tell me the truth." She looked so vulnerable, practically begging for validation, that Yukito nodded earnestly. "Yeah, I would. You'd be awesome." Moved, Himyama thanked him profusely and beamed. "Then let's be friends. I mean it." Without warning, she sprang up, declaring she'd introduce herself to his parents as the new neighbor. "And I'll bring soba. It's the least I can do." Before Yukito could protest, she yanked him to his feet and dragged him out the door, her grip unyielding. He had no choice but to go along with the whirlwind. At his front door, Yukito's mother paused, hearing the commotion. She opened it cautiously, her face flashing concern. What trouble had her son stirred up now? But Yukito jumped in quickly. "Mom, this is Himyama Hisaki. She just moved nearby, and I helped her with some boxes." Relieved by the innocent explanation, his mother smiled warmly. "Oh, welcome. Come in." Himyama politely presented the soba, and they chatted briefly in the doorway. Yukito, however, stood rigid, his mind racing. Himyama still hadn't let go of his hand. The lingering contact felt bizarre. How had they even ended up like this? Unbothered, Himyama turned to Yukito with a radiant smile. "As thanks, I'll do anything you want. Name it." His mind raced with possibilities. He was a guy, after all. What could he ask for? With a teasing grin, he leaned in. "Anything? Don't spoil me, or I might just say, an embrace." Himyama's eyes sparkled mischievously. Without a word, she pulled him into a tight hug, burying his face right into her ample chest. Yukito flailed, sputtering that it was just a joke, but he couldn't deny the surprising softness. His mother froze in shock, her jaw dropping as she tried to process the scene. Oddly, Yukito felt a strange peace wash over him, his worries melting away in the warmth. But his bliss shattered when his mother snapped, "Yukito, get a grip." After the awkward embrace ended, Himyama patted Yukito's head gently, apologizing for treating him like a kid. The whole situation was absurd, but Yukito admitted with a sheepish grin, "Actually, that was a first for me. Never experienced anything like it." In the middle of the madness, he added, "You give off this motherly vibe, you know." His actual mother stood there, utterly stunned, the words hitting like a punch. Later, Yukito apologized for his cheeky request, but Himyama waved it off. "You can always ask if you want to be pampered." A flicker of sadness crossed her face as if realizing this small gesture was all she could offer. Holding back tears, she excused herself and slipped out quietly. Alone with her thoughts, Yukito's mother replayed his words. Himiyama felt more like a mother than she did. She searched her memories, struggling to recall the last time she'd spoiled him or shown affection. The answer? Never. Guilt crashed over her like a wave. Yukito had grown accustomed to expecting nothing from anyone, and it was her fault. The neglect had scarred him long ago, leaving him feeling unloved. Tears pricked her eyes, but she vowed to change. Snapping back when Yukito mentioned her early arrival home, she explained she'd be working remotely, only heading into the office once a week. With renewed determination, she tied on an apron and headed to the kitchen to whip up dinner, ready to mend what she'd broken. Soon after, Yuri breezed in, greeting everyone with her usual energy. Without missing a beat, she turned to Yukito. "Hey, bro, speak up if you ever need anything, okay? Don't bottle it all in." Her words hung in the air, a subtle nudge toward the family's unspoken tensions. Yuri leaned in closer, her voice firm as she stressed that she didn't require any payment in return for her help. Yukito nodded slowly, though his mind was already racing. What exactly did she mean by anything? His thoughts drifted back to that morning, when she'd shoved money into his hand. Was she the one secretly struggling? Trying to take initiative, Yukito offered to dip into his savings to cover whatever she needed. Yuri blinked, caught off guard. "You're that eager to rope me into something? What's the rush?" Yukito shrugged, playing it cool. "I don't really need the money anyway, might as well use it." But Yuri shook her head, her tone turning serious. "Relying on it like that isn't healthy, builds bad habits." Bolstering her resolve, she declared, "I'm stepping up to help you. No payment required. I've got this." Yukito, still clueless about where this was heading, muttered a vague agreement. As Yuri turned to leave, she shot him an unsettling, oddly suggestive glance over her shoulder. "I'll do whatever it takes," she said, her voice low and mysterious, leaving Yukito completely bewildered. What in the sweet home Alabama is this? Not long after, their mother called Yuri over to help wash the vegetables in the kitchen. Yuri agreed without hesitation, but then casually asked, "Which detergent should I use?" Both Yukito and their mother froze, stunned into silence. The rest of the evening passed in quiet routine, but Yukito couldn't shake the nagging question. What had Yuri meant by unhealthy? Meanwhile, in the principal's office, the old man leaned back in his chair, his attention drawn to the commotion below. Peering out the window, he watched the first-year students tearing through their physical examinations. A few stood out with blazing speed, sprinting across the field like pros. Yukito, however, was huffing and puffing, lagging far behind Miu, who turned back with a triumphant grin, flaunting his easy victory. Frustrated and clinging to his dwindling pride, Yukito cursed himself for ever challenging the school's athletic golden boy. Desperate to salvage some dignity, he threw down a new gauntlet, a flexibility test. Miu just laughed. Elsewhere on the field, the girls clustered around, cheering wildly as Kamishiro shattered a new record. Yukito watched from afar, impressed by her natural talent and athletic build, but something felt off. He approached cautiously. "You feeling okay? You look a bit wiped." Kamishiro forced a smile, waving him off. "I'm fine, really. No worries." But Yukito wasn't buying it. He'd noticed the subtle signs of fatigue. Her dismissive tone made the moment awkward, and he started to back away. "Sorry for bothering you." Before he could escape, Kamishiro grabbed his jacket sleeve, halting him. In a rare burst of honesty, she admitted, "Actually, I'm not okay. I skipped breakfast and haven't eaten properly since last night. Didn't want to seem weak, so I kept it quiet." Surprised by the confession, Yukito softened. "Empty stomach from oversleeping?" She shook her head. "Been busy. Only had some instant noodles," Yukito sighed, unimpressed. "Ramen alone? That's not real food. You need more than that." Despite the gentle scolding, Kamishiro felt a strange comfort in his concern. "This isn't the best spot for a heart-to-heart," she reminded him, glancing at the eavesdropping girls. Word spread quickly. One of them piped up, "Is it true you're not feeling well?" Kamishiro downplayed it. "Not so bad I can't keep going." Curious, another girl turned to Yukito. "How'd you even notice? No one else did." Yukito shrugged. Her ponytail's usually all bouncy and lively when she's in a good mood. Today it was just hanging there. The girls stared, speechless, while Kamishiro protested. "My ponytail isn't some mood barometer like a dog's tail." As whispers and gossip swirled, Yukito stood firm, unfazed by his theory. He gently reminded her not to push herself too hard. With a soft smile, Kamishiro nodded. "Sorry for worrying you." As he walked away, Yukito felt somewhat reassured, but a lingering unease gnawed at him. Later that day, Yukito found himself suddenly cornered by a cluster of girls, their eyes gleaming with excitement. "Are you the Yukito Koko everyone's talking about?" Just like that, bro had entered the harem multiverse. As they closed in, Yukito's brain short-circuited. Was this some twisted dating sim reincarnation? Before he could spiral too deep, one girl snapped him back. "Hey, focus. We're not mind readers." Still dazed from his accidental daydream, Yukito blinked as another girl asked, "Will you give approval so a certain girl joins the basketball team?" Totally confused, Yukito asked, "You mean Kamishiro?" Turns out, Kamishiro had announced she'd be willing to manage the basketball club, the very one Yukito had been eyeing. She'd even told the others she'd sign up gladly if Yukito joined too. Yukito was floored, realizing she was basically positioning herself as his personal hype woman. Plus, he couldn't exactly crash the girls' basketball team anyway. Before he could stammer a response, a random guy materialized out of thin air, grabbing Yukito by the collar. "Hand him over. He's ours now." Yukito, honestly grateful for the rescue, muttered thanks, but the guy brushed it off. "You'll join track and field if you do, so I'm here to recruit you." Hearing Miu's name, Yukito's annoyance flared, picturing that smug, solar-powered grin. The basketball girl fumed, snapping at the track guy. "I asked first. You don't have exclusive rights." He shot back, and we're not holding back either. Before Yukito could process the chaos, not to be outdone, the doubles tennis club rep and the baseball club captain piled on, each hurling pitches and promises to sway him their way. Yukito stood there, utterly dumbfounded, as if a portal to an alternate dimension had just spat out a horde of overzealous recruiters. How had this mob materialized out of thin air? Instead of picking a side, Yukito dramatically stroked his chin like a philosopher pondering the universe. "This is all because of the country's declining birth rate," he declared solemnly. And with that profound insight, he bolted, leaving the chaos in his dust. Later, Yukito cornered Miu to vent about the absolute circus he'd just escaped. But Miu just doubled over laughing, clutching his sides like it was the punchline of the century. Kamishiro rushed over, apologizing profusely. "I never thought the club members would go this overboard. I'm so sorry." Trying to soothe him, she added, "It can't last forever, right? We'll get through it." Before the drama could escalate, the teacher sauntered in and announced she'd drawn lots for new seating arrangements. As everyone shuffled into place, a girl named Mineta greeted Yukito with a polite nod. Desperate to blend in, Yukito awkwardly sprinkled in some girly lingo, like he was auditioning for a teen drama. "OMG, like totally." Mineta shut that down fast. "You don't have to do that, seriously." Yukito blinked, realizing his secret weapon was a total flop. Worse, Mineta seemed weirded out by how he treated girls like exotic zoo animals. Playing it off, Yukito quipped, "Actually, I'm the rare animal here." Mineta laughed, but Yukito felt a sting of betrayal. Noticing his pout, she quickly reassured him, "I didn't mean it like that." Then, out of nowhere, another girl chimed in, "Your dark jokes aren't exactly killing it, Yukito." He paused, genuinely questioning if they were that bad that someone had to call him out publicly. Miu, eavesdropping, was floored. "You're just now figuring this out?" A boy named Takashi tried to butt into the convo, but Yukito shot him a death glare. Only gloomy people allowed in this circle. Just as things got cozy, the teacher snapped at the class, reminding them exams were looming and they better prioritize studies. Her mood soured further as she revealed that 3 idiots from the Go Home Club had caused a ruckus, sparking chaos in the staff room. Yukito, clueless about his role, leaned toward Kamishiro and muttered, "Don't cause trouble, okay?" The teacher zeroed in on him instantly. "Yukito, you're one of the troublemakers. Newsflash." Before exiting, she tossed a sarcastic jab at Miu, idiot number 2, asking how he was holding up. Miu mumbled that he was fine, embarrassed. After she left, Miu turned to Yukito with a deadpan stare. "You're officially idiot number 1, Yukito fumed, but then Kamishiro, idiot number 3, turned to him with puppy dog eyes. "Help me study." That was all the spark he needed. Yukito declared it his life's mission to form the ultimate study group. Miu jumped on board, crowing himself as idiot number 2, Yukito's loyal sidekick. But things snowballed when their casual session morphed into a full-blown movement. Yukito narrowed his eyes at Kamishiro. "What did you do?" she sheepishly admitted. "I just mentioned it casually, and word spread. Everyone wants in." The classroom erupted in cheers as students started assigning themselves numbers. Fantastic. Yukito was now leading a squad of self-proclaimed idiots. In the fray, Hinagi timidly introduced herself as idiot number 8. Yukito blinked, confused. "Why the hell are you here? You're smarter than all of us combined." Irritated, Hinagi shot back. "There are things I'm not confident in, okay?" And so the legendary study group was born. Yukito strutted to the board, scribbling equations like a know-it-all guru. With a flourish, he scrawled one out, proclaiming, "This exact question is bound to pop up on the test." Manita raised an eyebrow. "How do you know?" Smirking, Yukito revealed his ace. "It's shown up 4 years in a row. Odds are golden. Plus, my saintly sister hooked me up with last year's papers." The room exploded in cheers, practically anointing him their academic deity. "How gloomy of you, Yukito." As he kept scribbling, Kamishiro raised her hand for an announcement. "This isn't a study group anymore." Yukito frowned. "Why not?" She explained. "A real study group teaches how to solve problems, not just memorize answers." After a beat, Yukito casually admitted, "I'm not struggling with any of these, personally." That tone-deaf bombshell set off the group. Maneda, fed up, whined to Sakurai about how much she despised Yukito. Miu, ever the echo, agreed without a clue. This only amped Maneda up more. "I hate Miu too." The chaos was just getting started. Kamishiro shot Miu a stern look, warning him not to let Yukito manipulate him into anything shady. Miu blinked, genuinely baffled. When had any brainwashing even happened? Yukito, meanwhile, was floored by how quickly his so-called ally had flipped sides. Desperate, he turned to Sakurai with pleading eyes, trying to woo her for backup. But Sakurai saw right through the puppy dog act, coldly shutting him down. "Nice try, but no pleading faces are gonna fix this." With the group turning on him like a pack of traitors, Yukito could only sigh dramatically. "And here I thought we were a team. Rivals in the end? What a twist." Hinagi, blissfully unaware of the brewing storm, tilted her head in confusion. "What's everyone even doing? Come on, let's focus and study properly." The group eventually pivoted to actually solving problems, ditching the recycled test sheets. During the grind, Sakurai couldn't help but admire Hinagi's teaching chops. Her explanations were crystal clear, her tone gentle and spot on. It was like watching a pro in action. While the others tackled their work, Kamishiro sidled up to Yukito for help on a tricky question. After guiding her through it and confirming she got it, Yukito quietly slipped away to observe from the sidelines. As the session dragged on, he noticed the odd tension. Kamishiro and Hinagi weren't exchanging a single word. Curious, he nudged Sakurai. "History between them?" Sakurai and Maneda nodded in unison. "Oh yeah, they're rivals. Big time." The study marathon finally wrapped up, leaving everyone drained and dazed. Yukito tried to rally the troops with a pep talk. "We covered the basics, even if it was rushed. You should all dodge failing grades now." Kamishiro slumped like a deflated balloon, whining that her brain was about to short-circuit. Yukito chuckled, suggesting she unwind. "Whenever I'm fried, I hit the park and shoot some hoops. Clears the head." Kamishiro's eyes lit up in shock. "You still play basketball?" He shrugged it off as just a mental reset. Without hesitation, she asked if she could tag along. Yukito smiled faintly. "Do whatever you want." Her stress melted a bit at that. Later, at the park, Yukito sank a clean shot, his arm still feeling the ghost of old hesitations, but he shook it off. Kamishiro bounced in, declaring her warm-up done and ready to dive in. Yukito raised an eyebrow. Had inviting her been a smart call? Before long, a crew of older guys rolled up, their leader Hayakuma calling out to Yukito. "Been a minute." Yukito introduced Kamishiro as classmates, explaining these were uni players he'd known since middle school. They'd been balling together ever since. Kamishiro greeted them politely, but things got awkward when one guy grinned. "She your girlfriend?" Flustered, Kamishiro denied it fast, which only sparked more teasing about them, figuring it out. Out of nowhere, Yukito dropped a bombshell. "Kamishiro's a dog." She froze in shock. The guys ran with it, joking about wild relationship milestones. Kamishiro panicked, trying to clarify, but Yukito piled on, calling himself a stray without a collar. Desperate, she blurted, "My name's on the Kamishiro family pedigree." Everyone went silent, now seriously wondering if she was canine. Yukito finally clarified they were just classmates. Kamishiro introduced herself properly, mentioning she played ball and was there to exercise with him. Hayakuma smirked. Yukito hasn't changed a bit. Hayakuma invited them to join the game, and they dove in. Yukito's skills shone, and he found himself more pumped than usual. This wasn't club pressure, It was pure fun. Each shot reminded him how good it felt to just enjoy the game again. After the guys bailed with promises of rematches, Kamishiro asked if Yukito was heading home. He shrugged, craving something sweet. A crepe. They grabbed some, and as they munched, Kamishiro couldn't shake the date-like vibe. Almost reading her mind, Yukito quipped, "I'd hate having a smelly date," catching her off guard. On the walk home, Kamishiro admitted she hadn't known he had friends like that. Yukito replied simply, "You don't know everything about me." She smiled, saying she wanted to learn more. It felt nostalgic, like middle school, and spending time with him made her happy. Yukito nodded. "I had fun too. Been a while since I felt that way." Excited, Kamishiro suggested playing again sometime, even offering to be his manager. But Yukito's expression darkened. "Stop trying to make up for your mistakes, like I said before." She clarified it wasn't that. She just wanted to see him play, even if it was selfish. Yukito sighed, admitting he lacked the motivation or goals to push hard anymore. "Depends on finding a reason. For now, the go-home club suits me. I'm used to the chill life, and I don't mind it." But deep down, he couldn't shake the thought. Kamishiro was different. People relied on her. Someone with her talents shouldn't waste them lounging in the go-home club. Yukito's thoughts lingered on Kamishiro. Her bright personality a beacon that had pulled countless people, including him, out of the dark. But lately, her smiles came fewer and farther between, like fading stars. Out of nowhere, Kamishiro wrapped her arms around him from behind, her voice soft and urgent. "I want to stay with you because I like you. Please, don't leave me." Yukito stiffened, completely thrown. "What are you even talking about?" Kamishiro fell silent, grappling with the tangled mess of love. When he pressed for clarity, she took his hand gently. "Despite everything, you still protected me, even after all the cruel things I said. That's why I'm here now. I still have feelings for you. It's not about repaying you or fixing the past, it's just my honest wish." She placed his hand over her heart, her eyes pleading. "Am I finally reaching you?" Yukito pulled back awkwardly, deflecting. "Your heart beats probably just from all that exercise." Kamishiro shook her head, insistent. "We've cooled down already. At least acknowledge my feelings." He yanked his hand away, his mind reeling. He had no clue how to handle this sudden closeness. In a reflex, he wiped a smudge of cream from her cheek. Kamishiro laughed lightly. "I've been waiting for you to notice and clean it off." Awkwardness hung in the air. Then she continued, "Remember how you once shared why you played basketball? Maybe I could be your new reason to play again." She guided his hand back to her chest, her voice gentle. "I want to become your motivation." She didn't want the moment to end, not when they were finally connecting. Yukito, still uncertain, asked bluntly, "Does this motivation include getting physically close?" It was a bold, inappropriate question, but Kamishiro met it head-on. "I don't mind if that's what it takes to inspire you." She placed his palm on her cheek, reiterating, "I truly like you. I'm not lying, and it's not about making up for mistakes, it's just my sincere wish." Sis got balls for days. Yukito had always seen liking someone as vague and fleeting, feelings that faded into fantasies. His past crush on Hinagi had evaporated completely, fueling his cynicism. His mother's divorce loomed large, and as he once gazed out Himiyama's window, he'd pondered Japan's 35% divorce rate. Eternal love promises? Just empty words and the cold grind of reality. At that moment, Himiyama breezed into the room, beaming. "I've finally finished moving everything. That's why I invited you over again." She set down cakes and coffee, urging him to pick his favorites. Then, with a cheerful lilt, she added how thrilled she was to have bumped into him. Yukito remembered all too well. She'd yanked him over on his way home, and now she was perched way too close again. No question, she was trying to seduce him. Uncomfortable, he shifted away. "I'm worried about smelling like sweat." Himiyama just smiled, unbothered. "I don't mind at all. Seriously, read the room, woman." He told himself to bolt before sinking deeper into this quicksand, but the soothing aroma in the air eroded his resolve. Soon, he didn't want to move. After all, he was just a guy. Ignoring a beautiful woman wasn't in his DNA. His mind wandered to a memory of his mother at Parents' Day, her striking beauty making him fixate on the blackboard, too dazzled to look directly. Among all the guardians, she stood out the most. Dude has a thing for his mom. Classic. The chat shifted as Yukito probed about her fiancé. Himiyama grew defensive, insisting her loyalty was to him now. But he brushed it off, pressing for her real thoughts. The question tied back to his own scars from his mother's divorce. After a pause, Himiyama admitted, "I liked him once, but some things love can't fix. We had no choice but to part ways." Curious, Yukito asked if she'd erased those feelings. "Not erased," she said. "I just gave up on them. With emotions aside, I loved him in the past, but not anymore." A wave of unease hit Yukito. He sulked, lamenting he could never imagine feeling that deeply for anyone. Noticing his frustration, Himiyama patted his head gently. "Don't dwell on it. As a student, focus on yourself, but remember, some priorities and wounds never truly vanish." Her words hit hard, stunning him. He stepped away to clear his head. Later, as he sat down for dinner at her place, his mind kept wandering. Was he even capable of emotions like everyone else? Just then, Himiyama reappeared in a barely there outfit that left little to the imagination. A shiver ran through him. He felt like she was out to end him right there. The tension spiked as she moved closer, playfully hinting at a secret, her presence a challenge he couldn't ignore. Yukito's facade shattered as Himiyama leaned in closer, her voice a sultry whisper. "Do I look good?" she asked, her eyes locking onto his with undeniable intent. He swallowed hard, his resolve crumbling. "Yeah, you do," he admitted, the words escaping before he could stop them. Desperate to regain control, he tried to deflect, but Himiyama pressed on, her gaze piercing. "Has something already been broken inside you?" That was it, the tipping point. Overwhelmed by the escalating tension, Yukito sprang to his feet and bolted from the room, his heart pounding like a drum. He couldn't handle Himiyama any longer. The air felt too thick, too charged. He stumbled home in a daze, his mind a whirlwind of confusion and lingering heat. His mother noticed immediately, her brow furrowing with concern as he muttered under his breath about clothing being the death of him. Without a word, he headed straight for the bathroom, cranking the shower to wash away the chaos. Watching him retreat, his mother couldn't shake the suspicion that Himiyama wasn't just any neighbor. Her thoughts drifted to her own fractured bond with Yukito. If he had any charm with women, it surely came from her genes, but she knew she'd shortchanged him on love. Her grueling work schedule meant she was always absent, leaving early, coming home late, barely present. Before long, Yukito had stopped opening up to her entirely. Yuri, his doting older sister, had tried to fill the gap, but she was just a kid herself. Then came the incident with Yuri, an event that had irrevocably altered him. From that day, Yukito withdrew, his emotions walled off, his gaze dark and unyielding, a fortress of rejection. A painful memory surfaced, Parents' Day at his old school. Other kids waved eagerly at their moms, but Yukito hadn't even glanced her way. The sting of it hit her anew, though she knew the blame rested squarely on her shoulders. Still, she was his mother. No matter how distant he became, she'd never stop showing him love. That was non-negotiable. In a bid to bridge the gap, she followed him into the shower, insisting it was normal for them to bathe together sometimes. Yukito froze, utterly stunned, as she casually began washing the back of his head, convinced it was a simple act of affection. Overwhelmed and panicking, Yukito exclaimed in frustration, "Can't I even have peace in my own home? Can my boy please catch a break?" Meanwhile, at the train station, a short-haired girl stared at her phone, reading a frantic text from her friend Yumi, begging for help. Eager to jump in, she pocketed her device and scanned the crowd. Elsewhere, Yukito crammed into a packed train, feeling like it was a rite of passage for future corporate drones. The day before, he'd visited his aunt Yuka, his mom's younger sister, and crashed there overnight, as he often did since living with her briefly years ago due to family circumstances. That meant the dreaded train commute to school. Miraculously, he'd snagged a seat that morning, basking in the smug victory amid the envious glares of standing passengers. But his triumph was short-lived. In the crush of bodies, Yukito spotted a black-haired man acting like a total perv, his hands wandering inappropriately. Disgusted and shocked, Yukito watched the scene unfold, the train's chaos amplifying his horror. As always, his cursed luck with women reared its ugly head, dragging him into yet another mess. Fast forward to the present, Yukito was pinned to the ground by the short-haired girl, her fury palpable as she accused him of being the molester. "How dare you show your face at school after what you did?" she spat, grilling him relentlessly. "Don't you feel any shame?" Yukito protested. "It wasn't me." But she wasn't listening, her disbelief etched deep. He realized arguing would only fan the flames. She was beyond reason. She claimed he'd assaulted her friend Hiomi Yumi, insisting she'd witnessed it firsthand. Yukito shot back sarcastically, "Maybe get your vision checked." She ranted that if he just owned up and apologized, there might have been forgiveness, but his refusals sealed his fate. Frustrated, she demanded if he thought being a student made him untouchable. "Talking to you is a waste. People like you don't belong at our school." Just then, a police officer arrived, drawn by the commotion. But before things spiraled further, a woman stepped forward in Yukito's defense. "He's not the culprit," she said firmly. Yukito looked up. It was the woman from the train, the one he'd given his seat to earlier. She vouched for him, thanking him for his kindness and urging Yumi to reconsider. Pointing out the timeline, she noted Yukito had only approached Yumi at the station and gently reminded her to recall who else had been nearby during the incident. Yumi's face paled as realization dawned. She'd made a mistake. Bowing deeply, she apologized to Yukito. He brushed it off, saying it was fine. They both shared some blame in the mix-up. The short-haired girl steadied Yumi, offering support as the tension eased. As Yukito turned to leave, his expression hardened, a storm brewing behind his eyes. The day's events had left their mark, and he wasn't sure what to make of it all. Yukito's expression twisted with bitterness as he muttered under his breath, maybe helping out was a mistake after all. The short-haired girl, Mutsuki, froze, her eyes widening in shock at his words. Guilt flooded her face and she scrambled to apologize, her voice trembling. "I'm so sorry, I swear, I'll never make that mistake again." But Yukito didn't even glance back. He turned away coldly, his voice flat and final. "I'll never help you again." Desperate, Mutsuki grabbed his arm, pleading for him to listen, insisting she was wrong. Yukito flicked her hand off sharply, his tone icy. "I'm done with this." He walked off without another word, leaving the two girls standing there, their faces etched with worry and regret, speechless in the aftermath. Back at school, Yukito was a no-show, missing every single class. Miyu kept shooting texts his way, but the silence on the other end only ramped up his concern. What the hell happened to him? He muttered to himself. Suddenly, the classroom door burst open, and Mutsuki stormed in, her eyes scanning the room like a hawk. "I'm looking for Yukito Koko," she announced boldly. The whole class fell silent, jaws dropping at the intrusion. This wasn't just some random girl. She was the student council president. And trailing behind her? Yumi, the vice president. The very girl from the train fiasco. Meanwhile, in the staff room, teacher Fujiro was quietly munching on her lunch when Mutsuki barreled in like a freight train, demanding every detail about Yukito. Fujiro blinked in confusion at the abrupt interrogation. But before she could stammer a response, Mutsuki, losing her cool, grabbed Fujiro by the collar, practically choking her as she hissed. "Where is he? Tell me everything." Fujiro gasped, prying Mutsuki's hands off and calming her down. Once she heard the full, messy story of the train mix-up and Mutsuki's botched confrontation, it all clicked. Why Yukito had ghosted school. Mutsuki slumped, admitting it was all her fault, her regret palpable. Fujiro sighed in relief that things hadn't escalated to expulsion levels. "Could have been a lot worse," she muttered. Mutsuki pressed again. "You really don't know where he is?" Fujiro shook her head. No word from him, but suggested Yuri might know. The name hit Mutsuki like a punch. Yukito was Yuri's younger brother. Yumi nudged her urgently. "We need to find Yuri, now." Fujiro offered to page her over the school broadcast. As the announcement echoed through the halls, "Yuri Koko, report to the staff room immediately." Mutsuki's nerves jangled like alarm bells. The tension coiled in her gut. This was about to blow up even bigger. Yukito's bitter words replayed in her mind, regretting helping her. She'd twisted his sense of justice into something ugly and unfair. The truth slammed home. He'd done nothing wrong. The blame was hers alone. She'd not only hurt him but betrayed his kindness. If she didn't fix this, she'd lose his trust forever, and maybe her own faith in right and wrong. When Yuri stormed in and heard the story, she exploded, nearly swinging a punch at Mutsuki. Fujiro jumped in, restraining her and suggesting she call Yukito. They usually commuted together, but of course, on this cursed day, they hadn't. Yuri yanked out her phone, dialing frantically. Yukito picked up, casually mentioning he was by the sea. Yuri's blood ran cold. "What? Are you thinking of doing something reckless?" He brushed it off. "Just looking for something I lost. I'll head home soon." But when she asked if he was okay, his reply chilled her to the bone. "Just wait till you hit high school. Then you won't have to worry about me anymore." Yuri froze, the pieces snapping into place. No way. It couldn't be. He wasn't vanishing from her life already. Desperate, she screamed into the phone, "Stop! That's not what I meant." But Yukito cut the call short, promising he'd come home. Fujiro checked on Yuri gently, but she barely registered, announcing numbly that Yukito said he'd be back. They could sort it tomorrow. Without another word, she headed for the door, leaving a parting shot that hung like ice. "I'll never forgive you, Mutsuki." While the others drowned in anxiety and guilt, Yukito lounged by the sea, casually popping sweet tarts into his mouth like it was a vacation. The 30-minute trek had been worth it for the salty breeze and that delinquent thrill of ditching school. Koko Yukito, resident troublemaker, owning the rep. Before heading back, he snagged a small souvenir for himself and someone else, and spotted a lost item nearby. Japan's return rate for found stuff was around 60%, he mused. Made him wonder if he'd ever reclaim what he'd lost too. At some point, Yukito had misplaced his sense of goodwill. No matter how much kindness people threw his way, he couldn't bounce it back. It was gone, buried deep, and he wasn't sure it was coming home. The warmth he'd once felt, the fuzzy glow of love, attachment, all that gooey stuff, was gone. He figured it was safer this way. No point getting close to anyone, he just dragged them down into his abyss of apathy. At least that's the lie he fed himself, day after day. Glancing at his phone, the screen lit up like a Christmas tree with notifications. Texts, calls. People were hunting for him, a whole posse apparently. Yukito blinked, baffled. Why the fuss? Someone as invisible as him still managed to leave scars on others. He tilted his head back, eyes tracing the clouds, and sighed. He'd screwed up again, hadn't he? Classic Yukito, helping out only to twist the knife deeper. Back at school, Yuri drifted through the empty halls like a ghost, her mind a whirlwind after that chilling phone call. Yukito's words echoed in her skull. "Just wait till you hit high school. Then you won't have to worry about me anymore." She remembered those childhood words she'd spat at him, the ones that still stained her soul like indelible ink. His face from that day, wide-eyed, broken, was etched forever in her memory. He never brought it up, and Yuri lived in terror that the truth might surface. Because that day, she'd tried to kill her own brother, a sin that no apology could erase. As kids, Yukito and Yuri had been inseparable, their bond a lifeline in their mom's chaotic world. Yuri, just a kid herself, had adored babysitting her baby bro. It felt right. Natural. Her bestie Maki, an only child, often crashed their playdates, and Yukito was always the star of the show. But one afternoon, Maki offhandedly cooed, "Yukito's so adorable. Wish he was my little brother." That innocent remark ignited a wildfire in Yuri. Jealousy twisted her insides, felt like Yukito was stealing Maki, and Maki was claiming him. Resentment bubbled over, mostly aimed at her brother, the thief in her eyes. Then came that fateful day. Yukito begged Yuri to play, but bitterness won. She shoved him hard, screaming, "Just disappear!" Yukito, caught off guard, tumbled from the monkey bars. The betrayal stung before the impact. By the time Yuri snapped out of it, it was too late. She rushed to his side. He lay unconscious, bloodied and small. Panicking, she bolted home and spilled everything to their mom. They raced back, but Yukito was gone. 6 agonizing days later, they found him in a hospital, police having scooped him up. No one explained the gap. When Yuri saw him again, pale and exhausted, her heart shattered. As he woke, their mom crushed him in a hug. Yuri just stared, the guilt a crushing weight. His injuries were brutal, all her fault. And then, like a final blow, Yukito whispered hoarsely, "Sorry, I couldn't disappear."